I'm Louis Bollard. I'm 28 years of age. I'm originally from Wales, North Wales, and I did my undergraduate here in Bath as well on a very similar kind of MBA course, which is a general international business course. It was a 4-year course with 2 placement periods, one of which was in Switzerland and one of them was here in the UK. And I did an exchange in Canada as well. And then before joining the MBA, I ran a protein business, so a kind of startup in the protein space in FMCG. And then I started my own business, which is a host community for sport supporters. So a little bit like an Airbnb for away fans. And yeah, then that got kind of, let's say, slowed down by the pandemic, and at which chance I was offered the opportunity to come to Bath and do the MBA. So I decided to obviously take that opportunity up. When I joined the MBA, the priority was my startup. So I just decided to do it. I've got an investor on board quite early on, and that was certainly the priority. But then, because of the ongoing COVID situation and because of the kind of offer that came to me, and I was able to actually do it in conjunction with the MBA, with the business. So I think the combination of the two of those things really kind of gave me that opportunity. And realistically, because there wasn't really going to be any sport on for the foreseeable future, and certainly without fans traveling between games, it really kind of gave me an opportunity to focus on something else, to kind of, as I say, do other learnings, build up that network, while kind of the sport naturally had stopped. So it just presented itself as a good opportunity to learn a little bit about both as well. I think more than anything, I wanted it to give me that foothold in Bath. Bath is a rugby city, and my startup is primarily focused on rugby initially. So I wanted it to give me those connections to the local community, to local supporters groups, just generally being back in Bath anyway. That, and then also a little bit more of an understanding into the fundamentals behind the business. And a lot of the case studies and stuff that we've done on the MBA course, I've actually tailored towards my business, or at least the industry and the sector, which I'd never really done before. I'd always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I just kind of got the learnings as I went. But then with this, I was actually able to apply a lot of them to go, okay, how is this going to work for Playway Stayway? I think one of the good ones was I did a course called Venture Capital Financing, and it was all about how to develop that relationship and how to look at different sources of financing as an entrepreneur. So I think that was really relevant for me. I'd kind of got a little bit lucky with my first investor, and he was quite quickly able to do it, and I didn't have to go through the whole diligence process, and it was an angel investment round. And I think that was a really good insight into how to be prepared, the stuff that an entrepreneur needs to do when they're getting further funding, whether it's kind of like a seed funding round or a Series A, and also kind of not to just assume that a venture capitalist is always a good thing. It can sometimes kind of help hold you back as an entrepreneur. So that was a really insightful unit. For that, I think the supply chain module in particular was, because I just assumed the supply chain and kind of, it wasn't really supply chain as such, sorry, it was more operational management and operations management. And you assume that's kind of logistics and lorries and stuff like that. But in actual fact, there was an electronic kind of process management as well. And for me, that was quite applicable to how, as an operation, I can, as smoothly as possible, get a rugby supporter who finds out about my business on a Friday night or a Saturday at a game, to then them actually staying or hosting somebody the next week. So basically making that process as smooth as possible, and applying that to my business. More of the mindset of lean operations, I guess. Interestingly enough, he'd already done an MBA, so it's only a single person, and he's done one himself and really enjoyed it. And I then asked him for his perspective, and straight away he said, yeah, you should definitely go for one. You'll meet some amazing people. You'll really kind of build up the clientele and my knowledge and stuff. And I think the deciding factor was that COVID situation. It was very much like, look, for now, it looks like people aren't going to be going anywhere for the next kind of 8 to 9 months. So you might as well make use of that time. So the complete truth was that I did my undergraduate here, and I already knew a few of the people in the School of Management. And then they were offering scholarships for local people. So they got in touch with me and just said, look, there's an opportunity that's come up. Would you be interested in doing it? One of the requirements of the scholarship was that you'd either have to have lost your job from COVID or your kind of business had been severely affected. So I qualified under the second part of that. And in all honesty, then I didn't look at other MBA opportunities. I knew that obviously the school of management had a really good school, had a really good reputation. And yeah, it just kind of seemed to fit together nicely. I think it's well designed for people who want to go into a kind of corporate environment, into higher echelons of businesses, into kind of like director level, management level. It is designed for kind of young people to step into that management level role. So I think it's really well prepared for that, more so than potentially an entrepreneurial route or a really focused kind of route. It's quite a generic one, so you're able to adapt it to what you want to do and kind of take the modules that you want to do. But yeah, I'd say it's just a very good kind of overall general level MBA. I find it hard to compare to others, and I guess no MBA is truly entrepreneurial because otherwise you wouldn't really be going into school and you wouldn't really need to do it. So yeah, I guess it's hard for me to kind of fairly judge it, but it's been good from my experience. But I've used the careers services by tapping into a few of the personnel and then passing me on and putting me into contact with certain people from local rugby clubs. As I said, one of them's the chairman of Bath Rugby here. One of them is a non-executive director of Scarlets Rugby, which is in South Wales. Both of those I only got via the school. Another one was a leadership coach who he's more football focused, but he's got kind of experience within it. So those three, for example, and I've just really tapped into careers. Okay, who else do you know who've gone maybe from Bath as an undergraduate or as an MBA graduate into the other areas? And then also with the actual rugby club, they supply some people for the executive MBA as well. So I've spoken to a couple of those, and again, just trying to really make that connection quite strong between me and the rugby club, really. I think it has been through the careers department. So one or two of them that I've worked quite closely with, and they know my project and what I'm trying to do quite closely. They've been good at kind of opening a few doors for me, let me know of kind of entrepreneurial activities within the area and the community, and even links back to the university itself. So kind of the university's entrepreneurial hub and the different entrepreneurship programs that the university runs. The careers department, I suppose that's how they see me. They see, instead of sending me job opportunities for this corporate or that company or in that area, they just show me kind of different funding initiatives or networking events that are on for entrepreneurship. They did run like an entrepreneurship week, which I think in normal times that would have been them coming to us and kind of presenting to us their experience. For this year, we had to do it online. But yeah, that was quite a good, again, was introduced quite a few successful entrepreneurs within the local area from doing that. Not from my actual field, let's say, but it was still quite interesting to hear their journey. I think one thing for starters, it did make me realise, because I did my undergraduate here at Bath on a very similar course, that had already trained me very well. And without realising it, a lot of the skills that people on the MBA are only just picking up now, I was like, oh, this is the way we were trained as an undergraduate school anyway. So for them, it's been the first time. For me, it's just been a little bit of a refresher. I think it's allowed me to, as I said before, kind of apply some of the more theoretical stuff to my actual business. In terms of my entrepreneurial thinking, it's just kind of solidified a lot of what I thought initially and what I thought beforehand. It's maybe shown that it's a lot more difficult than I thought it was. Maybe I was a little bit too optimistic and naive when I first joined, and kind of hearing from a lot of these entrepreneurs and their journeys has shown that, you know, you do kind of need to go through a lot of stuff before you kind of like make it, let's say. So I'd say it's made me a bit more resolute and determined in that sense, because a lot of them just say like, you've just got to keep going, keep learning, keep plowing on, keep making improvements. And if you're making those steady improvements as you go, you'll kind of be slowly building something. So, and again, maybe trusting even in the process quite a lot, and just kind of trusting in the timeline. And as I say, for me at the moment, I'm trying to get supporters to stay with other supporters. So there's only a certain amount I can do for right now. Hopefully in the next couple of months, which will be good timing because of the end of the MBA, it'll kind of give me a little bit of a runway to really give it a good shot. That's one of the key things I want to do. So I've signed up to stay in Bath for another year. The careers from the MBA course are helping me to get an office space in town and stuff. So that's definitely one thing I'd like to do, to keep that link quite warm, even in the form of like being on entrepreneurship panels with undergraduate students or even MBA students and other maybe entrepreneurship courses. So yeah, I definitely would do in future if everything goes well and have employees. I'd of course kind of take some from there. When I ran the protein business initially, before this, we took a couple of students from my old course again as interns, and it seemed to work quite well. It was a good experience, I think, for us and also for them, because they have a lot of internships with kind of big corporate companies, banks, and all the rest of it. But for someone like me who wants to work on a really small startup, there wasn't really much. So I think for us, we were a 2-person business, so it was probably a really kind of fun learning experience for the people who came to us. And if I could do that again in the future, that'd be a nice position to be in, I guess. What I'd say is kind of know what you want to do before you go into it. So I think I've been benefited because I do know that, and I know what I want to achieve, and I know the reason why I've done it, and all of the context around it. I think some of the other people on the course didn't really know and thought this might give them a direction, but at the end of the year, they're still in the same kind of I don't really know situation. So I think if you know what you want to do, and if you know exactly where you want to get to on a higher level of the corporate ladder or whatever it is, I think it can be a really beneficial thing. I think you'll learn a lot. It'll be a good investment for both kind of you personally and also your time, and financially also, because normally like your salary will increase by a significant amount after you've qualified anyway. And again, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, if you've got the option to do one and you've got the opportunity there, and you can kind of use it as a year to kind of solidify your own business, then I would recommend to do one. But saying that, I think there's no replacement for running a business when you're an entrepreneur. Like the lessons that you get and the learning is very applicable when you're just doing your business. So it's a little bit of both. You've got to take everything into context and view it quite balanced. But for me, it's been really well timed, been a really good opportunity, and I've definitely learned a lot from it.